Hello, this is Mike at GameFromScratch, and welcome to a new series of sorts. And why I call it a new series and I call it of sorts is because this is where I'm going to put everything that doesn't belong anywhere else. So basically, every once in a while, I'm going to see or I come across a product that I go, God, that's awesome. I got to share this, but I don't actually know it that well. So it's not technically a review. I'm not going into a lot of depth, and maybe it doesn't fit anywhere else, but I do still feel like sharing it. That's where this is going to come in. So this is a completely random look at, and today we're looking at Autodesk 123D design. Now, expect more of these random looks in the future, so they're just going to cover stuff. It's going to be involved somehow in game development, but again, my knowledge isn't going to be that great, or we might not go into that much depth. It might be a quick throwaway thing. So let me know if you'd like this series or not. But basically, I came out, and I have this dream that I've been holding on to for a very long time. I love working on my iPad or tablets or even sometimes my phone. There are certain things that work really well there. The two of them are, one is design. So I like doing my program flow design, flowcharty type stuff. Works great on a tablet. The other one is texturing. I love like Photoshop on here. I love iDraw, or now called Autodesk Graphic, basically for my vector graphics work. There's certain things I just find work really well on a tablet. Even though I have a stylus available for my PC, the tablet just gives me that immediate mode that it's very good for creative stuff. And I also find, it's quite nice not to have to carry a laptop. I can just pull it out and work anywhere I want. So sometimes you just got an idea, you want to sketch it, whatever. You want to pull out a tablet. And as a result, I started looking, and every once in a while I look for a 3D modeling app on the tablet. And a year ago, there was a set of 123D programs from Autodesk, and they were a bunch of toys. You could do things like make blobs into stuff. Like they were playthings, but they had some coolness going on, but they weren't really particularly useful for anything. And to make them do anything, you had to pay money for what was a questionable tool. Well, I went looking again a couple days ago, and again, the only options was this 123 series. But what happened is that 123 series got a whole lot better. Two applications specific: 123 Design, which we're looking at today, and 123 Sculpt Plus, which we'll actually look at in the future, probably as a part of the completely random look at series. Now, 123D Sculpt is an iPad-only app, but what we're looking at today is 123 Design for the desktop. And I didn't even know this existed, and it's kind of a shame because for game development, it rocks. If you're artistically challenged, it rocks. And basically what it is a CSG model, or a solid surface modeler. And we're used to, in the game world, working in polygons. We start thinking in polygons. My life has been polygons for the last 10 years. And polygons is just kind of the way it won. It's the way things are done now. And solid surface modeling is still being done. It's done a lot in engineering or fluid dynamics simulations and such like that. It's done in CAD, but it's not really used that much in game design, with one major exception. And here's where it is used a whole lot. If you've done any design in any level editor, game level editor, chances are you're using CSG design. CSG modeling is the basis behind Unreal Editor, God, I forget what it's called, but the ID at WorldForge, maybe. Basically, the editor for ID Engine. Apparently, Unity has one as a plugin. CSG is the fundamental way of modeling levels. Ditto for Hammer, Model Editor, etc. And the way CSG basically works is you compose your things of shapes. Using Boolean operators, you add, subtract, multiply shapes together. And when you're dealing with non-organic surfaces, it is really, really sharp. And 123D Design is basically a CSG modeler. Now, where it's staggeringly cool is its price. For non-commercial, it's completely free, including a huge library of models that you can work with. Now, there is a catch. If you make money with it, you've got to pay for it. And this is also kind of cool. It's $10 a month. Now, keep in mind, 3D Studios Max, more like $4 grand to buy. So $10 a month is nothing in comparison. Even probably its closest equivalent out there is, what are you called? I want to say Sketch. Google own it. They used to own it. They just sold it off. Just a second. Brain's not working. SketchUp. SketchUp is the closest equivalent you're probably going to find to 123D Design. But if you've never used that, don't worry. If you've never used any modeling tool, actually don't worry. This is a fairly intuitive way to work. And if you need to make non-organic surfaces, so if you're making a mech or even a car or buildings for your model, etc., this is a really good way to go, even if you have limited artistic talent. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not a game modeling tool. You're still going to need to bring it into a Max, a Maya, a Blender, Cinema 4D, something like that, and apply surface textures to it. So this is not a modeling application per se. Although the outputs from it, the triangular meshes, are surprisingly okay. And you can use a tool to turn it back into quads and actually work on it a little bit more in your tool of choice. So it slots pretty well into a game pipeline. So enough of me babbling, let's move on. First off, the 123D app is available from, it's Autodesk that makes it, but it's available at www.123dapp.com. There's also a version on iPad. We'll look at it very, very briefly. And there's also Sculpt, which we'll look at in the future. They make other things as well, but not a lot of these are going to be of any use for game development. 123D Catch sounds like a great idea where you model things by taking panoramic shots of it. I tried it out, it doesn't work for crap. So I won't be focusing on it right now, but 123D Design on PC is right here. This is it. Your interface is fairly simple, and the entire concept behind it is actually really quite simple. You are making shapes out of compound shapes. So for example, we want to make a camera. There's a box. Take a box, make another surface, such as a cylinder, and the neat thing is, if we go to a surface, it'll automatically snap to said surface. So boom, we now have a bit of a camera-esque shape going on. Let's grab this guy and pull this edge out a bit. So it's called an extrude, but if you're from the 3D world, it's not what you think because it didn't leave the old edges or faces behind. So you gotta stop thinking in polygons. You don't work in polygons anymore. We probably also want the surface to be slightly higher, so same tool, like so. Bring that up. Now we got the basis of a camera going on here. Let's just go ahead here and combine those two together. So that's a merge. Pick surface 1, pick surface 2, and press enter. And boom, we have the basis of a camera. Now let's say we want to take and make our lens inset a little bit. Well, just go ahead, create another cylinder, pop it on that surface like so, go to the modifier, take the scale. We can scale it numerically, or we can just go to the scale it down like that. Go into the translate, transform it. You got this. You got a widget here. I can't stand the widget, to be honest, but this combines rotation, translation together. If you've worked in Max, Maya, Blender, whatever, they've all got a similar widget, and all of theirs work better. So I hope this is one of those things they changed, to be honest. So see how our surface is intruding into the other surface. Now what we're going to do is do a combine, and this time to subtract. So target mesh is our camera. Source mesh is our second cylinder. Press enter. And done. So now you've got this inset surface, and it just goes on and on like that. That really is all that it takes to make some very complex mechanical shapes very, very quickly. And if you need to start doing things like, let's say we wanted to, we wanted to round this edge here, you can do that. We can come up here and do either do a fillet for rounded or chamfer for beveled. So we'll do a fillet, pick our edge, and come on. So we can round that edge out slightly. As you notice how it's going to collide with this edge, it will deal with that automatically when it gets to it. So we could have also done a bevel instead. Let's see, sorry, here, come in, we'll do a chamfer instead, which is going to be an edge. And really, that is it. So your modeling works on making more and more and more complex shapes. Now, the shapes that you work with always stay solid. You can, however, punch holes in things if you wish. It's another modifier. So, for example, where did you go? No, it's right. It's different than on the I don't actually know where it is on the desktop. On the iPad, it works completely different. There's a a somewhat different set of tools, and unfortunately the iPad doesn't have this nice tweak to it, which is sort of a move and such combined. But maybe it's just an extrude gone the other direction. No. Yeah. Nope. Maybe it's a split. Nope. All right, not really sure where it is on here. It's definitely on the iPad, but you can inset faces, make holes, punch holes in things, but you pretty much just work with compounding shapes. Now, where this guy starts being really cool is when you start digging into the library. And the library is, on the free version, not allowed. Commercial, you're allowed to use this stuff however you wish. And this is some pretty powerful things, especially if you have, again, a lack of artistic ability. Just come on over here and grab this guy, drop it out, give it a sec to load, because this is actually going on to the interwebs. And this brings up pre-made models that you can use in place. So you can see here we're in light bulbs and fixtures. We got electrical. So you got various things light related. So come up here. Let's switch it. Come on. Switch out to a different category. For example, robot. And now we can go together and basically get various pieces to go together to make a robot. So if we wanted, dragging ahead, it's pulling it from the internet. So give it a second. Okay. We appear to have a bit of a scale issue. So let's scale that guy down. So there is a head for a robot. Come down here, for example, and let's do torso. And we bring in, say, this torso. And you can model these. You can create them and save them yourself and bring things together almost like virtual Lego. So we got that guy selected. Let's instance one in our scene. It's probably going to come up. Yeah, so there works. And then scale. Come on. So now our sizing is all wrong, but so we've got basically two shapes that we brought in. Come on. Come on. Move down. Now we can take our one surface. Like, I've screwed all of my proportions up here. So I can take snap, and we could say that face to that face, and pop. They are now together. And you sort of just start slotting things together like Lego. Bring them in as they are. Robot's a little bit contrived, but we've got a lot of things here that necessarily aren't. So house, you've got the different pieces that go together. So we could come in and basically, you know, bring in our railing. And place that. And now we could copy and paste that guy. All right, I gotta admit, the usability at times sucks though. Control C, Control V, enter. Come on. I don't know if it cloned it or not. No, it didn't. All right, Control C. Yeah, select. Control C, Control V. There we go. And now we've got two. And you could go together and make very easy, complex shapes out of. So if you had a fence that you were using on your level, you could do various little pieces, and then for actually slotting them together, you again just pick the one edge, you pick the other edge, and snap. And then once you got your model as you want it to be, you can grab, come on, grab one, grab two, oops, I just go ahead and do this. So merge you and you. Press enter, and now that is one object. So if I scale it, for example, it will scale as a single entity. So it's a surprisingly capable, powerful modeling tool. I did not do this justice. You could actually do things like, I could build the autocannon for a mech in seconds, like literally just, you know, stuff like make, God, I hate that grid. All right, 1 second. Make a single rectangle, put 2 cylinders through it, chamfer the rectangle down, do an intersection, bring it in, start beveling holes. You can do things like, you know, let's go in and we'll grab. So when you're filleting or adding detail, we could, all right, scale, come on. My UI is being full on stupid for some reason. So I could go in, grab something like this. Let's go in. Scale just in one direction like so. So now I can take this shape that I've created here, move it to my surface, like so. So it's cutting in, and then I just grab my first shape, source, splitting entity is the second shape, like so, press enter, and now if I grab this guy and move it out, you see we've got this new inset cut shape. We'll come back here, we'll grab it, hit delete, and boom, surface is cut in. So you can see you can add details, shapes, contours, etc. very, 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 very quickly. And if we come back, we've got, so far I've just used, you know, square surfaces, but we could just as easily use a sphere to make the cut. So like so. I'm going to move you into the surface, and let's do an intersection cut. Actually, we'll do a subtract. So subtract. No, I got that backwards. So select target. Is this guy? Source. This guy. I might do this backwards. All right. Target. Source. Enter. There we go. So you see now we've got nice, smooth, rounded curved surfaces as such. And we can still modify these easily enough. We just come on in. We can do tweak. Let's grab that face. You know, we can move it around. And you notice how it's changing the way that it cuts within the surface. We can move it in the surface, etc. So if you're used to straight polygonal modeling, you'll look at this and go, wow, you can do certain things very, very, very fast. And you certainly can. And with this massive collection of building blocks or shapes to work with that are already existing, then you can just as easily make your own. You can picture, like, I could make an autocannon, you know, and then if I've got a turret I want to mount it on, pop, I do it. I use the alignment tool, snap it from one face to another, and done. I could reuse the same thing on a tank, on a mech, on a... So if you start looking at your game in terms of composition as Lego blocks, there's some pretty powerful stuff you can do here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's also an iPad version. And this is where it all started with, and let me just... All right, I should be showing it. Let's see down here. Here, maybe I'll start it again. I'm trying this one out. I usually use something called Xmirage, but it doesn't work on iOS 9 right now. All right, so here we go. So this is my iPad. This is the, This is the iPad version of it. You'll see very, very similar, a bit tweaked down. On the one hand, the user interface actually works a bit better. I find navigation, so it's 2 fingers to pan, orbit for you know, just switch the two, pinch to zoom, pinch out. Otherwise, your tools are over here. You know, there's your snapping tools, your differences and alignment stuff, subtract and union. So you'll notice there's subtract and union, but if you go back to the desktop, there's, I always pick the wrong one. Let's see, where did it go? Here we go. There's merge, subtract, and intersect. So there's no intersect for some reason on the mobile. You're editing. One thing that's sadly missing is split face, and there's no tweak version available on here. But otherwise, you're talking kind of the same app. And then if we come over here, you can see, sorry, I can't indicate with my mouse that well, but on the top right-hand corner here, oh, I guess I can show you this way. This guy here is where you can bring in your own, and then the other guy right here gives you access to the same set. So we've got your primitive stuff that we saw here. You go in and go, so let's go hardware, and we could get, so say we wanted to make an angle bracket, click at the scene. Let's go and we can scale that sucker down. And where's universal scale? There we go. So like so. And now we want to mount it to this face on the top here. So we're going to go in here and do a snap. Snap, pick one, oops, wrong edge. Let's try that again. So snap. There. And oops, I snapped the wrong direction, but you get the idea. All right, let's do that in reverse. So snap. Oops. Snap. Oops, I actually did a snap there. Let's undo that. All right, snap you to you. Where did I go? I snapped it over there. All right. Don't mind me, I'm being idiotic on dealing with this. But as you can see, there is an iPad version of it. It runs very quick, very smoothly. I'm on an iPad Air 1. So as you see, here's actually, oh yeah, it does come with guns. So example, under jet, you can see here's a machine gun. Where's the rest of them? Come on, jet. I mixed them up. All right, cloud is, sorry, this one is internet. This one is local, which I guess makes a lot more sense because it does have a cloud behind it. But let's go over and say here, battleship. Look at the hull of our battleship. Drag that in and over. Like so. And now we can start adding bits to it. So we wanted to put a deck turret on. Move this over. So once you start seeing, if you can model the basics and then model your components, there's a lot of reuse you could potentially do here. And then again, let's do a snap. I think I always do my snap order wrong. So snap you. All right, I'm mid snap. So undo that stupid thing. Undo that. Yeah, let's just leave that tool. All right, snap you. You there to zoom out, pan over, zoom in, you, and done. So here you see, we have just put this on our underlying shape. Now don't get me wrong, we can still obviously modify the underlying shapes here. So for example, if we wanted to do, let's go back and do an extrude. That's this guy right here. Grab an extrude. And let's grab that face. So, let's zoom out, move to the side a bit here. Sorry if I'm making you sick as I'm one finger panning around. Come on. Just pull that guy out instead. Like so. So you can easily modify the underlying shapes. The way of working is actually rather intuitive once you get used to the making shapes out of other shapes. As you can see from the general contour of this guy, you can work easily with organic shapes. Now the problem is here, your building blocks are a little bit lesser. So we come back here, we'll go back to straight. Okay, how do I get back? Oops, sorry. These are your default camera controls, by the way. Mildly unintuitive, but you click the cloud again to go back to your defaults. So your primitives are fairly basic. Things like you know, cylinders, angles, etc. What you can do a little bit more, and this is a bit nicer, is when you're on the desktop version. My totally screwed up camera. You can actually start with just about any kind of surface you wish using the Bezier pen or various other. Come on, let's close that surface off. So, and now we can take that guy and extrude it out. So on the desktop, you've got a little bit more control over making more organic-y shapes. And of course, it didn't have to be straight edges. We could have come in here and used splines and gotten a much smoother corner. Or we can use the filleting tool on the tool. But we can make this shape a little bit smoother here using the fillet tool as well. So we come in here, go fillet. We have the edge we wish to fillet and modify like so. So you can make nice organic shapes out of nothing on the desktop version, whereas for some reason on mobile, you have to work with raw primitives. For some reason, they don't have the spline tools. I'm not really sure why. So there are things you will find that the desktop does better, but you're also going to find that mobile does certain things better. For example, the navigation is a lot better. I can't stand, to be honest, the orbiting and camera controls and the move modifiers in the desktop version. If there is a single biggest flaw with this app, that's what it has to be. But then you're wondering, well, once you got all this crap, what are we going to do with it? Well, that's the cool thing. So it's right here on mobile. We can go and share that guy. Oh no, that's actually going to share a drawing of it. Wrong guy. Come here, and we can save out to a cloud. We can export STL to our Dropbox. So you're not boxed in here. You can actually send STL out. STL is a format that just about any single platform is going to support. And you can dump it out to Dropbox from your iPad. Or when you're sitting here on the desktop version, it's kind of similar. So you can do export as, and you can export out to SVG for 2D graphics, and export out to 3D. And here you can do STL, V3D, Vermal. I'm not sure what step SAT is, but for example, let's use X3D. I'll call it test. Now we've got a really weird gibberish scene, so I'm not really sure how this is going to resolve. Well, let's go on into Blender. Delete that guy. Import. So you'll see right off the hop. X3D is supported. That was on my desktop. And there you go. There is your scene that you just finished creating in 123 Design in your application. So if you really wanted to, I don't think we're set up yet, but here, let's new. Zoom out. There you go. So there are our objects in another application. So you can see how you could slot this into your workflow, no problems. It fits out. There's no, and keep in mind, as of right now, I've paid nothing. And worst case scenario, you do have to pay some money, 10 bucks. So this is an application I'm going to be looking at closer and closer as time goes on. A bit of a warning though, is if you are using an application such as Blender when you bring it out, you will notice our pivot point is at a very, very strange spot. And the other catch is going to be, this came in as one single object. So you're going to probably want to model each thing in its own file. It doesn't come in as a hierarchy once exported, at least using the V3D format. Maybe one of the other formats preserves each thing as an individual object, but everything I've exported or imported so far comes in as a single entity. The other thing you'll find, and for example here, this little yellow dot represents the pivot point. You're going to probably want, or the origin point, you're going to probably want to move it into the center of, and generally if we didn't have all this stuff here, so example, if we didn't have, let's see, next. Seriously. Oh, you go away. Why do I have... Alright. So if we only had that, guys, we didn't have outliers, then what you would do is just come on in here and go set origin, center of mass, and then your pivot will make sense. Then you're moving relative to a place that makes sense. So I don't know why every single thing I've ever exported has come out with a very strange origin point. So it's one of those small things you've got to change, but for the most part, like, we can bring in some really cool scenes into whatever content creation program we want very, very easy. Now, sorry, that was a little rambly, a little weird. That's the whole idea behind this series, I suppose, is I can just talk, and if you find it interesting, you can just listen. Otherwise, you can move on to the next thing. But that was 123 Design from Autodesk. It's something I am going to actually look at using more and more in the future. This application right here on the iPad is bar none the best 3D modeler available right now for mobile. You can actually do neat designs that come out looking pretty solid while you're out and about. My iPad is in super sluggish mode and needs to restart, but for the most part, performance is quite good. If you have an iPad Air 2, it will be like incredibly quick. Again, on an iPad Air 1, I have had no issue with performance ever until, of course, I started doing this presentation. Also might be part of the AirPlay is delaying or lagging the feedback. But if you honestly need to create non-organic models, and you need to create levels or placeholders within levels, I highly recommend you check out 123 Design. They're not marketing as a tool for this, but I actually don't find any surprise in that, because the reality is their other products $4,000, and that's what they want you to buy for games. So if you're a game developer on a budget, this is something you need to look at. If you're not on a budget but you happen to be on the go, this is also something you need to look at. Or if you just like using the CSG modeling paradigm as opposed to polygonal modeling, this is something you need to check out. So basically, in summary, this is something you need to check out. It's a very cool application, and you should see it. All right, hope you enjoyed that. See you later.